Are we on? Okay. Can everyone hear me? Okay, tell me if I start talking too loud, though, because my mother has my entire life told me to be quieter all the time because I'm a very loud talker. So if I get too loud, please let me know. Super excited to see a full room here. This is really fun. My talk is how PayScale used Tableau to launch a new revenue stream, storytelling with automated PDF reporting. My name is Gina Bremer. I work at a company called PayScale. We are all about compensation data based in Seattle, Washington. Our agenda for today, go over a little bit who I am, what PayScale is, give you our backstory of why we started using Tableau. So the first portion of this is very much going to be how we started, what we've done since then, and then how, because of that, we ran into a business problem and found a solution using Tableau. And then the last piece of it will be an actual how-to looking inside exactly how I built this PDF reporting system so that you could, if it works for you, take it home and leverage it in your company somehow. So, intro, a little bit about me. Again, I'm a business intelligence analyst, also a Zumba fitness instructor, very important to my identity, so it has to be up here. I went to the University of Washington and studied math. I actually have to update this. I just did an election day viz, so I got 4 viz of the days, which I'm very proud of. And obviously, I am a little bit of a Tableau geek. I built my Who Am I slide in Tableau. I do not work for Tableau, but a lot of people think I do because I'm definitely an enthusiast, and you will probably hear that throughout this talk. So what is PayScale? PayScale is all about fair, transparent, and modern compensation. We're a two-sided business. We have our B2C side, our consumer side, which is our online salary survey, where people come to our site, they take a 5 to 10 minute long survey, they tell us what their job title is, where they work, what industry they're in, how many people are in their organization, what educational level they have, all of the things that we call compensable factors that should matter for pay for your position. And then using a mathematical model, we actually draw a distribution for you to let you know where you fall in the market using real-time data. We have 54 million salary profiles. We're the world's largest database of individual compensation profiles. We service over 3,000 business customers. Those profiles are across 15,000 job titles with over 2,300 recognized compensable skills in 350 industries across 11 countries. Then we have our business side, which is where we make our money because we want your data, so we're not going to charge you anything. We sell a cloud-based software to HR departments, to companies to help them understand what the market rate is for their positions using real-time data. So we're collecting data today that will be leveraged in our product tomorrow so you can keep up with the most recent compensation trends. So why did we start using Tableau? Originally, we started using Tableau to support our content marketing efforts. So we provide real-time salary data. We have this product. We have over 3,000 customers that we support. If we stop getting data flowing in on our website, we stop having real-time data, which is a big problem. So a lot of ways that we get people to our site is just through organic search. You type in registered nurse salary on Google, you're probably going to come across PayScale as one of those top links. But we also use all of this data to produce interesting content marketing packages to drive more traffic to our site. And we've found that it is a much more engaged crowd that we get. So our conversion rate, the people who actually land on our site that take our survey, which is ultimately what we want, is much higher with these content marketing packages. So when I started at PayScale almost exactly 3 years ago, I went in, I was on the data team, and one of my jobs was to do the analysis for these packages that we've been producing year over year. Our most popular being the college salary report, which is for over 1,000 schools. We look at postgraduate earning outcomes. And we do a ranked list, 1 to 1,000 and 100 and some, and produce these and push them out, and we get a lot of traffic to our site because of it. However, you will see a lot of our data packages were big lists. And when you have big lists on your website, you get a lot of people who look at the top 10 and then find their school. And then they're about done. So again, we kind of don't have that engagement. So we're partnering with Tableau Public to try to produce a Tableau public viz to accompany these data packages to drive more engaged traffic to our website. It took off, mostly because, again, I'm a little bit of a Tableau junkie. And as soon as I made my first viz, I wanted to make a viz for everything. But we also saw a lot of increased web traffic, a lot of increased media coverage, and it actually opened up a lot of new opportunities for us because we were creating these data visualizations. It got to the point where almost every data package we were producing, we were also producing a Tableau public viz that would be embedded in the package to make the data more discoverable. So my favorite example is my best jobs quiz. It is my best performing viz ever. When I checked when I was building this presentation, it has over 500,000 views, and it gets it gets thousands of views every month. Still, it's like one of those that the number just keeps growing. And it is built in Tableau using a mixture of filters and parameters. Think 17 magazine quiz, if anyone's ever taken one of those. I'm probably the only person in the room that has, but that is where my inspiration came from. And the questions on this, it's filters and parameters, but they are hacked. So they, how do you feel about school? One of the answers is school is cool, but I was out of there. And that's helping us narrow down these big lists of jobs back there to surface what we think your best job is. And then some different stats on the jobs, like what the most typical degree levels are and what the generational breakdown is in those jobs and how happy people are and how much money they make, obviously. So we had done this package a couple of years before and had gotten a good 25,000 views. That is nowhere near our 500,000 plus. So we immediately saw this super increased web traffic and this continuous web traffic, because once these things get out there, they are still discoverable. The more places they're linked, the more places you see them. So because it's Tableau Public, and if you don't know about Tableau Public, very, very easy to embed any viz in any website. So we actually have some media partners who use a lot of PayScale data that started actually taking our whole vizzes and embedding them into articles, which again, all of these vizzes have our survey start on them, so we're driving more traffic. And Business Insider actually just has one that says, take this quiz to figure out which job would suit you best, and you open it, and it's the viz. That's pretty much the entire article. So just makes us a lot more discoverable and trending. And so it does allow us to trend, which is great, which is something that we didn't get before. And we're one of the largest Tableau Public users as far as views goes. And then we get media coverage from Tableau itself, which is also really fun and gets a different audience, and we get a lot of coverage from the data viz world as well. Increased opportunities is actually my favorite. I was provided the opportunity to work with the White House about a year ago when Obama was releasing his new education data API. He reached out to some companies beforehand, about a week beforehand, and wanted people to prototype a tool to help future students and parents understand the data in the educational API. And the engineers at PayScale were like, that's not possible. We can't build something in a week for you. We can't do this. And so they were like, well, Gina, can you do something in Tableau? So I did nothing for a week except sit at my computer and build a viz that was actually then released in the press release. And Obama mentioned PayScale in this talk that he gave as he was releasing this with the 3 other companies, which is great brand recognition from us. Like, we would have never even thought that that is something that could have come out of us starting to use Tableau Public. And then also community involvement, which is something that I just never expected. I'm one of the leaders of the Seattle Tableau user group. If you're in Seattle, the next event is not this Monday, but the Monday after at PayScale, and you should definitely come. I have been invited to Tapestry, which is a data storytelling conference, a couple of times, and the TCs. And this is important for 2 reasons, I think, especially for me. One of the reasons is it really pushes you to be better and do better things, and it's very inspiring to have all of this community involvement. But it's also support. I've never used a software where you actually have people who want to help you. So going back to that best jobs viz, one of the inspirations from that was being at the Tapestry conference, and Chad Skelton of the Vancouver Sun gave a talk on putting the U in the data visualization, and it just spurred this whole other train of thinking, and it keeps you thinking and seeing what everyone's doing and seeing how excited everybody is keeps me trying to push myself to be better. And then also that viz, one of the Seattle Tableau user group event collaboration events, I had someone help me make a mobile version of it before mobile existed and code it in to make it work. So a lot about that viz and the success that it had is because of this community involvement, which was another really unexpected opportunity. So that is backstory of how we got to our business problem and our solution. So this is the fun part. About 2 years ago, we started a pilot program with universities to survey their alumni. So basically, it came from, we produce these college salary reports, we produce these college ROI reports, and these schools were saying, okay, but we want more. Like, you're telling me what the median earnings are for all of these people that you're surveying, but we want more detail than that. We want to know, what majors are the best, and what are these, and what are that, and we're basically don't have a large enough sample from your school to go to that level of detail. We're collecting the data from them, but we have, we can't break it down to that level because we don't have that much data. So we started using our existing survey infrastructure to survey these alumni and produce more detailed reports for them. It was a pilot stage. It was 10 schools. We were really excited about it. We have the analysis. We have all the data to do cohort analysis and compare you to national statistics for those majors, to compare you to a cohort of your choosing if you wanted. We have all this information, and the problem that we ran into was giving it back to them. So what is wrong with Excel? We all love Excel. So we tried this. This is originally what this pilot program looked like. They wanted more data, and we weren't charging them any money. It was just like, we were going to do this. We were going to get data out of it, which is what we wanted. They were going to get analysis out of it, which is what they wanted. So they got these big Excel spreadsheets that had median earnings 0 to 5 years of experience, median earnings 10, and for all the different majors and for all the different things. But it was very, very quick to discover that it got lost. I mean, the data gets lost. It got lost on them, like a lot of the data in our data packages got lost. You look at the top 10, and then you find your school. So there was just too much information, and it was very hard for these schools to find value in it because they were having a hard time pulling the data out. So me, being the Tableau enthusiast I am, trying to have more of my job be in Tableau, asked, well, can we leverage Tableau to do this? Well, the problem was we have a single desktop license, which is not a lot to work with because we primarily work in Tableau Public. So we don't need anything other than me having a desktop license to build the vizzes before we publish them to Tableau Public. But found that the answer was actually yes with my single desktop license. We now have an automated report that's built in Tableau that can be distributed interactively, obviously, it's in Tableau, or it can be printed to PDF for those read-only users that really just want to walk through that data story and understand, okay, I don't know what I want to look at yet. You just got all of this information about my alumni, and I want to start understanding that, and then they can dive deeper if they want to after that, or if they find insights in that they're interested in. So it has pages that have automated text in them. It's standard report form. So all the blurbs about when the survey was conducted, how many respondents there were, what the school's name is, obviously, all of those different pieces. It has the graphs that we know and love in Tableau and want to use and help people derive insight from the information that we're giving them. And it has that cohort analysis. So now instead of having a million columns in your Excel spreadsheet, we can show them how they compare to national statistics or a cohort of their choosing very easily and visually. It obviously has tables with all the datas, map, and it provides instant insight. So one of the biggest pieces here and why universities were wanting to use PayScale and have continued to want to use PayScale is we can provide them insight by doing this cohort analysis, by doing this visually. So you can very quickly see which major groupings here have the highest mid-career median earnings, but you can also see how they compare to the national. So yes, a master's in library science is one of the lowest paid here, but it's right on par with the national statistics. So their program isn't actually underperforming, which you wouldn't necessarily know if you were just looking at those numbers. So the wins of this solution. It's really fast and simple. It's not complicated at all. All you have to do is build a template, and then after that, it's just 2 steps to have a new report. And it decreased our report creation time by over 95%. So when we first started doing this, we were building reports for all of the different schools. And now that we have this template, we can, from starting the project to actually sending them a report, takes me about 4 hours, including analysis on top of that. But the Tableau piece is about 5 minutes. And it's consumable. So like all of the data visualizations that we've created, like all of the data visualizations that we use, it helps you understand the data. And it increased the viability and the marketability of this new product line. So it's actually something that schools are now paying for and generating revenue for PayScale, which in those first few where we were sending them Excel spreadsheets, we were not going to get anyone to give us any money for that. And then it also has multiple distribution channels depending on the audience. So if you are a person who wants the data discovery piece, it's already all built in Tableau, right? You can throw more filters on it. You can throw more parameters on it. You can drill down. You can do all of these things because it's already all built for you, and distribute it to Surveyor, distribute things to online, distribute it in whatever way you want. Or you can just use it to tell these people a story, and it can be distributed as that PDF. The other win of the PDF is they can then share it with their alumni, which a lot of these universities have chosen to do. And so we can give them this, and they can say, okay, we're not going to share this with the world. It doesn't make sense to put it on Tableau Public, but we can distribute this to our alumni email list, which is something that is a huge win of the situation. So how it's done. Again, really super simple. I have my single Tableau desktop workbook, and I have my feeder Excel file that feeds into this Excel workbook. So I just have these 2 things that I need to build every report. My feeder Excel file contains all of the data that I use in my report. I have this mostly automated, but whatever your data source was, if you can automate it, if you can do whatever with it, if it's an Excel file and you have to manually do it, still works. But it contains everything. So the school's name, what I want to call the school in the legend, what the text that I want to use in the blurbs and the paragraphs, everything that I want to use in my PDF, I have in a single Excel file. And then I have my template workbook. So each workbook is just a whole workbook. It has letter portrait size dashboards for each page in order, and then all of the sheets are hidden. So it's really super easy to print it off. There's a template for my feeder Excel file that has everything in the correct data shape for Tableau because I'm building everything off of it. And every time a new university comes and does this, I pull the data out of whatever database you use. We have a proprietary querying tool that is very fun. And so you pull your data for this university. I put it in this Excel file. I have it format automatically, luckily, at this point. I save a copy of it, and then I overwrite that feeder Excel file that's feeding into my Tableau workbook. So when I open up my Tableau workbook, everything has updated to be my new university's data. All of my titles have updated, all of my legends have updated, all of the data has updated just by overwriting this file. Then I save a copy of my template Tableau workbook so that I always have it if I want to make adjustments, if something didn't work, if I want to remove pages, if I want to do whatever I want to do with it. It's still on that feeder Excel file, so I can always go back and overwrite it again and make more edits and make more changes, so I always have that remaining. I extract the data, and then I can file print to PDF. I can export it as a packaged workbook. I can publish it to wherever I want, but it's all set up to distribute in any way that you want to distribute it. So building your own, again, feeder Excel file should be a single Excel workbook. Can have as many tabs as you want. It's just good to have it all in one place. And again, this is the way that I do it. I've heard a lot of people who have heard me talk about this who have taken this and done their own spins off of it. Obviously, the data should be in the correct shape for the use in Tableau. Should contain all of the data that will change with the report. So that's the title text, the legend text, the actual data. With the template Tableau workbook, everything that you want to be automated is going to have its own sheet. So my titles that I want to change with my school names need to have their own sheets. My legends that I want to use need to have their own sheets. You can reuse the sheets on different dashboards, so I don't need 54 title sheets for my 54 letter portrait size dashboards. I can use the same one on every one, but it still needs to have its own sheet, so you still do have your number of sheets increasing very quickly. All of the dashboards are letter portrait sized, and all of the sheets are then hidden, making it really easy to print it to PDF and have it be that polished look without having to do anything else besides your open your workbook, save a copy, file, print to PDF. So, examples. This is the fun part. So the simplest page is the title page. It has the least amount of things on it. If we look at it in detail, it only has 4 objects on it. It has my PayScale logo, it has my PayScale Alumni Analytics, it has my school name, and it has the date of my report on it. So I've highlighted these in 2 colors, which is a really good way to think about all these things. I have my things that don't change with the underlying data, like my logo. That's going to be on every single report. And my PayScale Alumni Analytics, that's going to be on every single report. My Graph Giraffe University, obviously I'm going to want that to update as soon as I have a new school so that it updates with the new school and the date of my report. So each of those things have their own sheet so that they are built off of that underlying data, so when it's updated, the sheet updates. And again, my dashboard is letter portrait sized. So for an example, it's the simplest example. You can see down there, I have my little feeder Excel file. I don't know if you can see it over there. And I have my school name, the date of my report, all of these things just in that file. And this is the one piece of my file that I still manually go in and type the school name and what I want it to show up as. And then I save it, and all I need to do is drag that school name onto a text box, and format it however I want and put it on my dashboard. A little bit more complicated of a page, but exactly the same idea. So now we're looking at median income by job level and experience compared to national. Exact same thing, just a lot more green boxes and a lot more purple boxes. So my headers, my pay scale, my figure names, all of those things can just be static text and image because they don't need to update ever. But my legends that I want to change, my subheader, my Graph Giraffe University, all the graphs, all of the tables, all that stuff, each one of those has their own sheet so that they are all feeding in correctly. Once I have this all built and my sheets all hidden, all I have to do is file, print to PDF, my entire workbook, letter portrait, and it prints out a 54-page long PDF with my new school's information in it. So, a demo. I made a video because I work in tech but fail at technology sometimes. So this way, I'll just tell you all of these things. So here's that first tab of my feeder Excel file. I'm going to zoom in here. It's my Tableau data template. It's feeding into that one single workbook. Got my school name. I've got my date of my report. Got my abbreviated school name, my start date, all of the different pieces of information that I'm going to be using in that first blurb and the titles and the headers. Got some different information about these different schools, how many respondents there are, 5,000 for this sample school. And then we have all of the different data that we're going to need. So all the different median pay figures that we're going to be using and all of our graphs by degree level, by gender, by years of experience. Again, I have all of this automated, so I kind of get this dumped out for me, which is really nice. But if it was smaller scale, you could always do it on your own. And then I have my template Tableau workbook. So you can see I've got my school name in there. I've got my 5,000 respondents showing up in here. All of these different graphs already all built out. I've got my PayScale Comp University feeding into my headers. My dashboard is letter portrait sized, which is a key piece on this easy to do all of the things. And then I have those median income charts that are pulling in different pieces of that data. I've got my legend pulling off of my abbreviated school name. Again, my headers. I'm pointing to a lot of things. So when we go and want to do a new school, I am going to go and find my new schools data. So I have a new schools data. So I've taken my template. I've updated it with my new Graph Giraffe University, my new native report. I'm ready to build a report for Graph Giraffe and send it to them. So I have all their data. They're a little bit smaller of a school, only 1,100 respondents, which is not a problem, just difference in size. And then all of the other data is updated for them as well. So I have all of those median pay figures, all updated, degree level, gender, years of experience, all of that data that's going to be feeding in with their data. So I'm going to close out of this very slowly. Maybe. Close out of my template. And I'm going to close out of my Tableau book so that I can go and overwrite that feeder Excel file with my new data file that I want. So I'm going to File, and I'm going to save as, and I'm going to go navigate to that place where I have that file stored, which is in a lot of folders. And then I'm just going to overwrite it. I already have a template for it, so I'm not concerned about that. I have a separate template that I'm using as my base. This is just the one that's actually feeding into the book. So I'm replacing this file. Yes, because that school will have a copy somewhere in their folder. And then I'm going to go and find Tableau on my computer, open that workbook back up, and it's going to be magic. This is, again, technology challenge. So opening that up, it's going to take a minute. It's loading. And that doesn't say Graph Giraffe University. So sometimes there's a little delay. I press F5, refreshes the whole book. Little trick. And then it's going to connect to the data source for the first time. It's going to take a few seconds. And all of my data is updated. So now, with just that updating that Excel file, I have this new report that's all set up for me. If I go to my respondents, I can see I now have my 1,143 respondents instead of my 5,000. And if I go to those income tabs, I can see all of the data has now updated. It'll take a minute to load for the first time. With that new school's information, I have my headers have updated to Graph Giraffe. I have my legends that have updated to Graph Giraffe. I also have the workbook set up, so if I wanted to change the US workers to a cohort, it would be the exact same thing. I didn't for simplicity here, but set up in the exact same way that that data is just in that underlying file. I file, print to PDF, which is just a fun button there. I choose my entire workbook, and my page size is letter portrait. That's the size I set up all my dashboards. I'm not going to press OK right now. It will take a minute or two because it's 54 pages long. And so for time, just show you what that final report actually looks like. It's all put together. It's got all of the different pages with all of those different graphs with Graph Giraffe University. So I can now take this PDF and send it to them, do whatever I want with it. Take that workbook, upload it to anything that I want to, pieces of it. If they want a deeper dive, again, it's already all built in Tableau. They can say, hey, on page 9, is there any way to break this down by X, Y, or Z? I am all set up to do that. I just go into my workbook. I've saved a copy for them, so I can change their workbook in whatever way that I want and do custom analysis for them. So that is the demo piece. So I'm going fast. I'm going to end early, unless there's lots and lots of questions. But my key takeaways are Tableau is not limited to one function. We started using Tableau Public. We had a single desktop license. It's still what we have. And it's one of those things where you can use it in a lot of ways that you don't necessarily think you can use it. And it's for both data discovery and data storytelling. So again, not everybody needs to interact with everything. Not everybody wants to be able to interact. Sometimes they just need to understand the data that you're trying to show them, and we all know that Tableau is a beautiful tool to do that. So this is a distribution format for that kind of, I just need a one-pager in front of me that has these graphs on it that I want. And I have used this same style, not a 54-page workbook, but a one-pager, a two-pager, for a lot of different things because it's just very handy. And it's also a little bit of a gateway drug. I have found this is a little bit of a side note. But side note, very much a gateway drug. It is very hard sometimes to get executives to look at what you made, especially if they have to go open a software that they don't want to go open and click on things that they don't want to click on. They will open a PDF that's 1 page long and look at it. And then they'll be like, hey, but can I look at this by this? And I'm like, yeah, here's the interactive version. It's a little bit, they want more, right? You get them to open it, you get it in front of them, and it's not, I love the interactive, and don't think that PDF reporting is the solution in all situations. Sometimes it can be, and sometimes it just is easier to get them to take this step. I have found, especially with executives, first, and then get them hooked into the reports that you want to give them, and then they're a little bit easier to go in and click on things and change it themselves after that. Sizing dashboards to letter portrait and hiding your sheets allows for easy distribution in multiple formats that can be very fast and 2 clicks. And Tableau is awesome and allows you to think outside the box. So that is all I had, which was half the time because I talk really fast. If there are questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Yeah?
So it looked like you had like a pretty standard format for your Excel-generated data.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering if you could talk about how you generated that. Is it like a very manual process, or do you have some sort of automation?
So yeah, so the question was, how do I automate the Excel book, or do I do it all manually, because there is a lot of data in there. So when I first started doing this, I was building every Tableau workbook by hand and doing all of the data shaping for each one automatically. As time has moved on, I learned how to build my queries smarter and faster, and now I have like one giant query, which is nice because I don't have to kick off a ton of queries. That exports data in a certain way, and then I have all my Excel tabs coded to read off of that and pull in the information that I want them to pull in into the shape that I want.
So when you say query, like SQL?
So we have a proprietary blob store database and some custom tools built on it to get our data out. But it would be whatever you were getting your data out of, that would be what it would be. No one is going to have what I have, which you can be happy about that. But yeah, it has evolved to now I copy and paste my query results into my file, because I mean, we're not talking about a ton of data here. I'm talking about 5,000 survey respondents. I'm talking about 2,000 survey respondents. I'm talking about maybe 10,000 survey respondents. So even if I'm crossing a lot of different things and doing a lot of different cuts, I'm never getting too big to copy and paste into Excel. So I'm just copying and pasting it over the other data again, and then all of my Excel broken out ones update as well to be on the new data. Yes?
You were talking about showing an executive a PDF
Mm-hmm.
and kind of getting them to take the bait and look at an interactive version. I was wondering if you could show us an interactive version of one of your sheets from your demo.
I am actually not set up to do that right now, but I would say that, yeah, so all of those are just dashboards, right? So if I go back.
So you like make like a duplicate
So
dashboard and remove all the filters and parameters and stuff for your...
So most of the time, if I'm doing it in this format where I'm, just trying to like teaser them, I will just take off the filters. And then if I wanted them to have that ability, it's pretty easy to just throw the filters back on the dashboard. Yeah.
So you said you only have one dashboard, one license. So what are they looking at to make it interactive?
So they if they want it interactive currently, Tableau Reader, you can export it as a packaged workbook. So the question was, if I only have one desktop license, how are they seeing it? So Tableau Reader is a very good solution. It's kind of like Acrobat Reader. The one thing that I would say that's a little bit frustrating is every time Tableau updates, you need to update your reader. Or maybe that's not the case anymore, but when I was using it frequently, that was the case. So every time I updated something, then someone would have to download the newest version of Reader in a lot of cases. But yeah, they can use Reader to do that. If it's not sensitive data, then I can upload it to public. If it is sensitive data, then obviously that's not an option. And then again, I would love to get them on server. Like I am a Tableau enthusiast. I will continue to be a Tableau enthusiast, and I'm slowly but surely, I think, getting there. Because the more this happens, you know, the more they're getting those tastes, the more they want. So again, I'm calling it my gateway drug because it's getting them there. Teasers. Yeah.
Do you have any experience of adding a title to PDF file sample? That would be kind of automatic.
So the question was, do I have any experience with having an automated title? So like calling it Graph Draft University Alumni, the actual name of the report.
Or the PDF file and the name itself?
I do not have any experience with that. I don't know how to do that. I do it manually. Because when you file print to PDF, it'll pop up the window, and you can call it whatever you want, save it wherever you want.
Two-part question. One is the data going into the PDF the same for every university? Or the exact same?
So a little bit of a caveat. I now have 3 templates because we learned through this that MBA schools are going to need a different report than bachelor's-only schools, which are going to need a different report than multi-degree level schools, because MBAs are going to be very interested in part-time versus full-time MBAs, and they're going to have pages for that. So it has turned into, we now have more templates, which is also very easy. I can save a copy of this, change my template, delete pages, add pages as I want. And then again, because I'm saving a copy of every report, sometimes I do custom work. Like if you want custom pages, custom analysis, it's very easy to add those pages in and put a higher price tag on it. No. Sorry.
That would get you into that kind of fully automated piece too.
Tab command. See, I'm going to learn something. I will look into it. I will look into the tab command. Yes?
The paragraph text underneath the charts,
Yeah.
where does that come from?
So some of it is static objects because it doesn't change. So I'm just like defining how I'm defining median income and what my confidence intervals are, which is not going to change report to report. Some of it, like the...
You said something about automated text.
Yes. I'm gonna get all the way back to it. It's not gonna take that long. I don't have that many pages. This guy is a pretty standard blurb. So it says, Graph Draft University and PayScale partnered to survey GGU alumni about career outcomes post-graduation, all blah, 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 blah. Survey was hosted on PayScale from March 11th to May 12th. So it is a sheet where multiple things are drug onto the text field. So in that text box, I can write the blurb and pull in those variables that are in my underlying data file. One caveat here, when I first built this, there was no text limit to copy and pasting into the text box for text in Tableau. Now it will cut you off. But you can do multiple, and I've found that I can just paragraph it and don't have any issues with that.
So some of the words are dynamic, some of them are not?
Some of the words are dynamic, some of them are not, yes. So if you like read it, it would be like alumni school name and PayScale partnered to survey alumni abbreviated school name about post-survey outcomes. Other questions? Yeah? So the question was, do I find it works with different sizes of schools? That we started doing the actual PDF reports about 3 schools in because we learned that the Excel was not working really fast. And every new school was kind of an iteration, and we learned something. So in a lot of cases, I just learned how to, I might have wanted to use a certain chart, but it didn't work for every school type. So I changed it to a different chart that did conform better. And then on top of that, we had to start doing multiple templates because we found some schools are just super huge or have MBA programs, and the other ones don't. So if you didn't have an MBA program, those pages would be blank. You would file print to PDF, you'd get to those pages, and you'd have empty graphs. And then you have to manually go in and edit that, and the whole idea is this should be as easy as possible, right? This should be like a 2-step process. So by making more templates, it just makes it so you pick the one and it minimizes the amount of work that you have to do afterwards. Other questions? Yeah?
Two questions. The first is, are you manually inputting the page numbers and table of contents?
The page numbers and table of contents shouldn't change. So I haven't had to because if all of those pages exist. If I had to delete pages, then yes, I would go in and manually change those things, which again is why I have made more templates, because that again is just tedious.
And if you were able to directly connect Tableau Desktop to your data source, how much additional time do you think you would save yourself?
So the question was if I was able to connect desktop to my data source. I do not currently, how much time would it save me? I do not currently think that it would save me a lot of time, because right now it is very, very easy for me to go in and call Graph Draft University, and have the abbreviated school name be GGU. And then if I open it and I don't like it or I want to change it, it's very easy for me to go in and change those things and have it formatted the way that I have it set up. So I would have to somehow get that data into my data source in another way, which would just be back-end setup that I feel like is not worth it with where this project is right now. Great. Well, if there's no other questions, then you guys, I'm letting you go a little bit early.